What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Things You Don't Hear in Church podcast. My name's Ethan.
And my name is Derry.
And boy, do we have a show for you.
Yep, way better than VeggieTales, though.
Please don't sue us, VeggieTales. You're Christians, you're not allowed to. Per the scriptures.
Well, it does mean they have to DM us. It does mean they have to DM us, though, because they have to figure out with us in person, which means we should be getting a DM from VeggieTales pretty soon.
Come on.
You heard it here first, guys. The creators of VeggieTales are going to come on the show next week. It's going to be a good time. Make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. But yeah, so today we're going to be tackling some fan questions and then some other questions we got that we're just going to be discussing through. But in the meantime, we just wanted to take a little bit and just talk about some things coming up on this show.
Yep. Talking about a few episodes we got coming up. We've been talking about the Hell series we've been trying to do for the last 2 months or something like that. We have almost all the episodes recorded. The problem is we can't find anybody to come on to talk about the eternal conscious torment view of hell. And we've had people who are experts in the other two topics come on. And so we don't want to just have kind of anybody come on and talk about this topic because we want to do it justice. But it's been kind of hard. So we're trying to figure out if we want to do just an episode on our own to talk about what our views of it are and try to give a good overview of what that doctrine would look like, or if someone's going to come through. If you guys know anybody you want to recommend for us to try to reach out to come on the show and talk about the eternal conscious torment view of hell, that would be amazing, because we want to drop that series really bad. We've had the episodes recorded for a good 2 months now. We've just been trying to work around it and figure it out.
Yeah, definitely.
More excited for those ones soon.
Yeah, and then if all goes well, we're going to be also having an episode come out about this Roe versus Wade leaked overturning and stuff like that, and then kind of a Christian response to the top abortion objections. We're going to have that come out soon, hopefully. We're wanting it as soon as we can. And then also next
Christian
week,
apologist.
Yeah, female Christian
hopefully.
Apologist. So then no one can say, you're a man, you can't have an opinion, because we'll have a woman who has an opinion. Although I don't think that argument makes sense. One thing I heard that someone say was just because I'm not the parent doesn't mean I don't get an opinion on the abuse of the child. And I was like, that's fair.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's that. But then we also have hopefully Josh Benson coming on. If you guys know him from TikTok, Instagram, he makes all those funny videos where it's POV, the worship leaders breaking up with you.
Yeah, probably one of the top Christian comedic TikTokers right now.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of followers, many followers.
He's hilarious.
He's very funny, and so he's coming on the show. We're gonna be dropping that next week, and then, well, I say next week, but something, if anything comes up and it's he can't record, then I feel like a liar.
That's what our tentative plan is, though.
Assuming Josh isn't a liar, we're gonna do it next. Just kidding.
But this week we're doing a fun episode. We're gonna go over some fan questions and then some of the things that we've been thinking about recently as well. So it should be fun. So you want to jump into it?
Yeah, let's go. The first one we're gonna talk about.
The first one we're gonna talk about.
The first one we want to discuss and really dive into. 3, 2, 1. Lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming. If you guys don't know what lucid dreaming is, it's this idea that while you're sleeping, you try to do things in the normal, well, not while you're sleeping. While you're awake, you do these practices that hopefully will convert to you doing them subconsciously when you're sleeping. And then when you notice you're doing them, you realize, oh, I'm dreaming. And then you become conscious in your dream and you can start controlling it, doing what you want. Just having fun in the dream.
Yeah. So the question was can Christians do this? Are we allowed to do?
Yeah. Or should we do it? Right.
Yeah.
Is there a moral quandary there? So we're going to be discussing that for a little bit. So Derry, what do you think about lucid dreaming? Should Christians do it?
When I first think about dreaming, the first thing that comes to mind is what dreams mean actually, and what that space is. And the first thing that I think about is what they meant biblically, or at least to most of the biblical authors. I know it probably changed over the span of when the Bible was written, but At least for a lot of the early authors, dreaming was something that conveyed truth, right? It was usually something that if you had a dream, it would convey some kind of deep truth about the universe. And it's usually like keeping with that narrative kind of place where you get a lot of value from and a lot of truth from. It's the same with dreams. Dreams, even though they're really confusing, a lot of times would convey that kind of deep truth and value. You can see that in a lot of the prophetic dreams throughout scripture, that people like get those like very important truth claims from those dreams. And we have a very different view of it now in modern day, mostly because of psychology and what's been done with studying the brain. And of course, we don't know everything that has to do with dreams, but I think more modern people usually view dreams as like, oh, something happened in my life, so I dreamed about it that night. Or
Right.
I must have eaten something weird because I had some weird dreams this night or something like that. And they just mean much less to us. If anything, they could tell us a little bit about our psychology and what's going on in our life. Maybe if we're stressed, we're going to have a certain kind of dream. Maybe if we're doing better, we'll have better dreams. But there are a lot of different opinions on what dreams actually are. But they've changed a lot from like just a narrative telling us like an important truth about the world, which is how they used to be viewed, to being much more subjective and even nonsensical, kind of void of a lot of meaning. But I
Yeah.
think there are lots of people who do take a lot of meaning from them still too. Like, of course, I think we think that people can have prophetic dreams still, that God can
Oh,
still
for
give
sure.
people dreams. And I know people have different opinions on that, but that's ours. I have friends who have had prophetic dreams. I've had a couple in my life. Um, so I think it's important. When it comes to like lucid dreaming, I don't know if I have like a cut and dry, this is what I think you should or shouldn't do it. I think, as with most things in our lives, it comes down to, or what is really important is what is our motivation behind everything we do, right? Like, why are you trying to lucid dream? And I would say if your motivation behind it isn't something that's bad and you've taken it to the Lord, then I guess so. But I've just never thought about it a lot before. So it just depends on why you're doing
Hmm.
it, I think. Like, are you trying to escape something that you need to be confronting? Maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Maybe you should work on what you're trying to confront. But maybe if you just think it's interesting, you're like, oh, I lucid dreamed last night. I want to try to do it again, see what it's like for some reason. Yeah.
Right. In yeah, in my opinion, I didn't. So first off, I'll say I didn't know that a lot of people thought it conveyed some truth about the universe
Mhm.
because I've had some pretty weird dreams that if I believed that, I would think pretty strangely about the universe, you
Right.
know?
Ancient world.
I'd be like, huh. But I guess yeah, ancient world, they had polytheism everywhere and thought they're yeah. Anyways, um when I hear this question, like should Christians lucid dream? I'm always curious, like, what do you mean should? Like, is it sin to lucid dream? Should you, as in, like, yeah, are we allowed to? Is there anything wrong with it?
Mhm.
I don't know, and the Bible doesn't say anything about it.
Mhm.
So I don't understand why anyone would say you can't do it, you know?
Yeah.
Um, although I do know that in one sense, um, God can communicate through dreams. So maybe part of that is like, hey, maybe you just leave your dreams alone in case God decides to speak to you.
Mhm.
And that probably, at least in my world, that is like few and far between when God like speaks to me through a dream. But when He does, I usually know it.
Right.
So maybe if that was the case, God can work around us lucid dreaming and speak to us another way if we decided
Yeah.
to do that.
I think I'd have to
Um,
know more about the science behind the psychology of lucid dreaming to know like what's safe and what's not safe and what its kind of design is even for, to give a better answer. But just off the top of my head, I would agree. Yeah, I don't
sure.
see a. It's just interesting. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then like I think, and then I guess what I would say, like, why do you want to lucid dream? Is my question. Like, like, oh, is it really fun? Because I've tried it before. I thought it was really fun. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then
Mhm.
I found I would not get good sleep, or it was just like hard to do. And
Mhm.
when I did do it, the one time I woke up pretty fast. You're like subconscious doesn't want you to know you're
Right.
dreaming.
Right.
So you're actively working against the natural function of the brain in a sense.
Mhm.
And I would not be surprised if that has some health issues. And I think it stops you from truly entering REM, if you do lucid dreams. So you're not getting the deepest and most healthy sleep. And if you're not getting healthy sleep, that leads to a myriad of issues.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about should you, I would say like, well, is it healthy? If it's
Yeah.
not healthy, um, I don't know. That's up to you if you want to do that. And then also I'd say why. Like I like sleeping so much. I like
Yeah.
just closing my eyes, falling asleep, relax. It's like it's a relaxing thing to me. So I wouldn't want to try to be awake during that and do whatever I want then because I'm like, well, I do that in my normal life. I don't want to.
Hmm.
And if people don't like their normal life and they're trying to escape, I think there's something deeper there than should you lucid dream. I think it's like, well,
Hmm.
something needs to, maybe your perspective can be changed or something like can happen where you can learn to appreciate the things in life more, you know, or
Yeah, maybe.
maybe make some adjustments, get out of a certain situation, whatnot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't think that it's wrong. I would never tell anyone it's wrong. It just also sounds like a lot of work to me. I'm like, I've tried
Yeah.
the practices of getting to it, and it takes a long time to actually get there. So I just like, you know what? I don't want to do that work. Like I'm just like, I'm
Mm.
going to sleep. It's not the time to work. I work all day.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
Now, definitely there's probably things out there that I don't know about it. Like I'm sure someone has some opinion with information that
Right.
I'm like, oh, I
Right.
don't know that I don't think it opens you up to anything spiritual.
That's what I was thinking of originally. When the person asked the question, I was thinking, is this in context of like some kind of pagan practice where people try to like astral project or something? But this wasn't the context, and so I wasn't sure like what that was necessarily
Right.
into. I'm sure there's got to be something like that. I don't think that makes it inherently evil to do. I think you could probably use it for bad methods or means for some reason,
Right.
but I just don't know about it a lot.
Yeah. Have you seen Doctor Strange yet?
No, I haven't before
Ooh. Are you gonna?
and have no time. I will eventually, just not right now.
It's really interesting because I won't give any spoilers away, but a lot of the witchcraft that's used there, and that's not a spoiler because you're dealing with the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. It's in the
Mhm.
trailers. A lot of the witchcraft there is actually like, in my opinion, true spiritual phenomenons that happen and
Hmm.
are practices that people do. And so when they were dropping all these things, I was like, hold up. I was like, that's actually real. That's interesting. Like
Wow.
that this is out there to be a visual. So now we can talk to people about it in a sense where it's like it's not just Marvel being fun. It's like this is a real experience. Isn't some yeah. I won't get too much into it, but
Yeah.
because
Crazy.
I don't want to give spoilers away. It came out last week
Yeah.
or two
Cool.
weeks ago.
Cool. Well, next thing
But yeah,
that we
as
want to
far
talk
as
about. Oh, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, we're having a little bit of a lag here. So I was just saying we're having a little bit of a lag on the call. So for the viewer, if we interrupt each other, that's why. But Derry, you were saying something.
No, go for it. You're going somewhere.
I was just gonna say, as far as astral projecting works, I don't think Christians should do that. Or remote viewing
Well, yeah.
is this
Yeah, for
idea
sure.
where you kind of travel space and time in your conscience. The reason well you don't want to do that is because you're opening yourself up to a whole spiritual realm that God doesn't permit humans to go to on their own. If God wants to bring a human into the spiritual world, He does that on His own will.
Right.
You see that in the scripture. Um, and also, it's been said that like there's three levels of heaven. This is what some people say. I don't know like. There's scripture about the three levels of heaven, but what it is like speculation. But I'll
Everybody's
just tell you.
theology on them. Yeah, it's fair
Yeah,
speculation.
I'll just tell you one of the views is that like the first heaven is where humans exist, the second level is where like demons exist, and the third level is where God exists and whatnot, or like lives and not exists, but inhabits. And so the idea is when you are down here and you're as a projector going up here where the demons are, and so you're opening yourself up to a bunch of demonic stuff. But whenever God brings humans to the throne room, it brings them up to here, um, and so it's this idea that you're not supposed to work with the spiritual stuff on your own will. You're supposed to allow God to give you those experiences if He wants to. But also, when you do astral projection, what you're doing is sending your consciousness out, and then something needs to inhabit your body so you don't um, like die, basically. So what happens is a demonic spirit will come in and inhabit their body and keep it um,
Weird.
like live there until you come back. It's like this agreement you make with the spirits, and you can find podcasts and stuff like that with people who used to do it, and they'll tell you the
Mhm.
same thing.
Strange. I never really heard that before.
Yeah, I recently learned that, and I was like, that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah. We want to go on to the next question.
Yeah,
All right. Next question is, what is an idol? And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, just in like your everyday life, because I think it's one of the easiest things to start doing. Is, I mean, as humans, we're always so focused on so many things. It's so easy to create just small idols out of things, sort of distract us from our everyday life. Whether it's we're
Hmm.
distracting ourselves from the mundaneness of it, or whether it's pain we're going through, or we've just distracted ourselves our whole lives. But um, trying to answer that question of like what an idol is, I think it's anything that you're going to put above God, right? If
Uh-huh.
God is on the throne of your heart and of your life, then if you put something above him or in place of him or in a distraction of him, then that's an idol, something you're worshiping, that you're worshiping besides him, right? Or worshiping more than him. And man, this happens everywhere. This, I think for me, like the most easy place I see idols creep into my life are like food, especially. Like it's so easy, I think, to just think, man, like I'm just so excited about food all the time. It tastes so good. I just can't wait to get to like the next meal. Or like if you know you have like a really good meal coming up and you're just like thinking about it all the time, looking forward to it. Not to say that thinking about food and all that is bad, but there's definitely a place that I can get to. I know where I idolize it and I look forward to it too much. And it's not the looking forward to it necessarily for me that makes it an idol, but it's the place that I'm giving into in my life. If I'm looking
Hmm.
to food to satisfy something in me that I know God needs to be satisfying, and I'm looking for an earthly thing to satisfy me other than God, right? Um,
Right.
so that's easily why that becomes an idol to me. And the Lord, I think, has been speaking to me a lot lately about um, finding constant and simple like peace and satisfaction in his presence wherever I am. And not having to look for something else to give me that peace or that satisfaction, right? Not having to look forward to what am I going to do after work to start to have peace or to start to have relaxation or
Hmm.
satisfaction. What I'm not going to have to wait till I eat the next time when I'm with this person the next time, or when that Amazon package is going to get here. I don't have to always be shopping or looking for like the next thing that's going to make me feel like incredible. Like whenever I think about that, like I love, like for me, I just really love shoes. I don't have a ton, but I love like looking at them all the time online, like on Amazon and different websites. Um, and sometimes I'll think like, man, like I can't wait till I can like buy this next pair of shoes, or I can like maybe save up enough money to try to get or afford like this pair of shoes or whatever. And the Lord, not that that's bad again, but sometimes the Lord will be like, right now, are you letting yourself not be satisfied in who I am because you think that thing is going to satisfy you, or even make you like have a hit of dopamine when you get to purchase that thing, when you click buy, or when it shows up, or whatever it is. Um, and the Lord will convict me all the time and just be like, man, could you have satisfaction right now, just in the place that you're in life? Like, you don't have to wait to eat. You don't have to wait till this thing happens or that thing happens, or you get this hit of this thing when you're, you know, surfing the web or something like that, or on TikTok. Like, can you right now sit and be satisfied with where you are in life and be satisfied in what I'm doing in you and where I'm growing you to and what I'm teaching you? And is that enough for you to even be excited about you and me and our relationship right now, outside of like these idols that you might be setting up? And so I really like that question about like what is an idol, and yeah, all of that.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, yeah, same thing. Like an idol is anything that you are giving more value to than your relationship with God. You
Mhm.
know, for me, I know that's been something like TikTok has easily become some of those things
Mhm.
where like I get done with the workday and I think, oh, I just want to relax. I'm like, I'm gonna open up TikTok,
Mhm.
and I just scroll and scroll and scroll, and then I realize, I'm liking this a little bit too much, and recently, this is why I like what iPhone has done, and all phones can do this, um, putting like time limits and stuff like that with your phone. Like I started locking my phone from like 9:45 to like 10 a.m. Because what
Mhm.
would happen is I would wake up, I would spend too late at night on it, and then I'd wake up and be really tired and not want to get out of bed. And then what's easy is to have my phone, so then I spend too much time on there. And there's so many studies scientifically about like the hours before and after sleeping that are so important to your health and your mental health, that like spending time with like all the phones and the phone light and social media right before bed and right in the morning is not good. One, just because like scientific reasons of it's unhealthy for your mind. And two, spiritually, it takes away from my time to be with the Lord because I'm probably going to be on TikTok until the very last second. and then I'm going to get up and start my day and not have any time to be with the Lord because I have to go to work or I have to do this or that,
Mhm.
you know, and it totally takes away from that time, and then it like starts replacing it. And so it's like always having to
It's so
check
easy to do
ourselves.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is going to like, not something to feel shame about in a sense of like, oh my gosh, this like keeps happening. I'm such a terrible Christian. It's like, hey, like you're a human, this happens. It's hard.
Mhm.
And that kind of leads into what I feel like I've been learning a bit about like spirituality and Jesus lately is
Yeah.
I was tending to my parents' garden. They're paying me money to like fix their garden and do all the work that they don't have time to do because they both work full-time jobs.
Mhm.
um so like we just take care of this. I was like, yeah, part of that is to pull grass from the garden so it doesn't take the nutrients from the plants when you water and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And I spent, it was not a lot of space. It was like probably as long as our as your room in Honolulu
Mhm.
and a little bit wider.
Yeah.
And it took me like 7 hours.
Wow.
And it wasn't like grass like a lawn. It was like pretty, like it wasn't a lot of grass, but it's like trying to dig up all those roots and chase them down. And in Christianity, we always talk about this, right? Where like if you have a problem or a reaction or you're angry, it's like, well, why are you angry? It's like the anger is not the problem. That's just a fruit. There's a problem deeper that's causing the anger, where there's a hurt that's unforgiven, and unforgiveness is the root, right? So whenever we talk to people and they're coming to difficulties in their life, we're like, I wouldn't say counseling because we don't do that. At least I wouldn't call myself counseling in any sense.
Mhm.
But when you're just talking to people, you're like, hey, like, why did you react that way? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm just so angry. And you're like, well, where did that come from? They're like, they sit with it for a bit. Like, why are you angry? It's like, well, I feel this way. It's like, well, why do you feel this way? Because of this thing in the past happened. Right. And so
Mhm.
you're digging through and finding these roots. And the Lord started speaking to me and was like, or maybe at least revealing. And he's like, this is what the Christian life is. I
Mhm.
heard recently, I don't remember where, someone equate the Christian life with like a garden, and we are God's garden, and He's making us into His garden. And so when we get adopted, we have to be like, we have a lot of wild flowers, we have a lot of wild grass and things like that, right? That need to be pulled out in order for our life, our garden, to start producing the fruit that God wants. And like the thing about this grass is every year my parents have some grass they got to pull up. It's like every year at the beginning of spring, oh, this grass shoots up, we got to go rip it out. And so I thought about that. I was like, if this is continuing to be a problem, then what it means is there is always continuing to have work done. There's always grass that needs to be uprooted. And it'll probably take years until you get all the grass out and whatnot. You might have a lot of
Mhm.
grass one year, and then the next year you have a little bit less, and the next year you have a little bit less until eventually maybe no grass. And so I was thinking about that with our spiritual life, and it's like, yeah, like we're gonna go through seasons, we're gonna go through different years of our lives, and you know, similar problems will still creep up. And we don't have to feel bad about that. We don't have to feel ashamed about that. We just have to track the root down and tear out the root and then move on and then
Mhm.
track the root down. And you don't get mad at the grass for growing. You just think, I'm gonna just deal with this because this is how it is. And so when it comes to our personal sanctification, sometimes we feel bad, or at least this can be my tendency, is I feel bad for having these problems, and then I don't want to address the problem because I don't want to admit that I have the problem. And then it's like,
Mhm.
well, that's just pride. And so then you're not letting, and the grass keeps growing and then gets too big, and you're like, oh no, and
Yeah.
so then it's like in humility saying, all right, time to work on this grass. And
Mhm.
you just kind of take time, dig it out. And the thing is, like, it did take time. My fingers got dirty, and like some of those roots went far and deep. And so it was really interesting to think, this is how it is spiritually. There's gonna like, we got to get in the dirt. We have to patiently track the roots out. And the thing about pulling the roots is you have to pull pretty lightly, or else if you pull too hard, it snaps, and then you might not have the grass, but the root is still there, and so it's still gonna be a problem. And so as
Mhm.
you're tugging lightly, so you gotta gently and carefully and slowly like find these problems out with not too much of a irk or too much of a I need to get this done now, because it's like, yeah, but like
Mhm.
calm down, it's gonna take time. Not like the roots are attached to like the soil, and so you gotta soften it all up. It was just this cool little thing where it's like, there's still things that God has been working in my life that He's been working on for years that will probably continue to still be worked on in years. So I'm like, one of those which we all can all deal with in some form of fashion is pride. It's like,
Mhm.
all right, time to go tend the garden again. And then that helps me at least have a lot more grace for myself when
Mhm.
I'm going through tough times, or I'm not seeing the results I want to see. It's like, hey, like, fruit takes time to grow. And if I'm a garden, like I gotta look at this realistically.
Hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Nice. Definitely true.
Yeah, I'm very
Definitely
holy
true.
now. All my
Nice.
grass is out.
Only took a week. Nice.
Woo! There we go.
All right. Next question is, what does fashion have in the place of the Christian life? Or what should we think about fashion? Yeah. What do you think about that?
Fashion's dope.
Yeah.
Well, some of it. Recently, I feel like in the last couple of years, that fashion has been looking a little bit more like the Hunger Games, which I remember seeing the Hunger Games and thinking, one day our fashion's gonna look like that. And it
Really?
happened way faster than I expected. And now I'm like if you like watch these fashion shows, I get so upset. I'm like, I don't even wanna like I hate it. I'm like, or like I
Hmm.
go to Gucci and I like look at I don't shop at Gucci, just in Honolulu we have the
Right.
malls that have Gucci.
Right.
So sometimes out of curiosity I'll just walk around and I just look at their clothes. I'm like, this is not a cool shoe. Why is it $1,000? This
Right.
like objectively is ugly. Uh, but fashion in the sense that people can express themselves with clothing and make clothing look very cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty basic fashion though. I wear plain tees
Why do you
and
think
jeans.
why do you think we think things are cool like that people wear?
Yeah, I mean that's a huge question about like
Yeah.
society and what society deems as attractive and then
Hmm.
what's captivating about certain things. So in some sense colors invoke emotions. So if you use fashion to express with the colors to like bring people's emotions, it can be this, when you look at a painting and sometimes you're just like, oh my gosh, like that's such a beautiful painting. I can't like like I'm so overwhelmed
Hmm.
by the emotions I'm feeling because this painting. I think sometimes fashion can be like that, where it's like, wow, what an interesting way to dress that person in that way that
Right.
is new and no one expected, but it's not, it's enticing, but it's not like, yeah, something's enticing about it. It's like, like I'm interested in that. And I want to
Hmm.
I'm curious. Now, when it comes to like everyday fashion, I think that's just like what society deems as attractive, which in my conspiracy mindset would probably be just whatever the major media corporations decide to put attention on. And what, like, Kanye starts wearing ripped clothes and everyone loves it, but it's like, well, I mean, poor people across the world have been wearing ripped clothes forever, and you guys think it's ugly on them.
Right.
So now, when someone that we put value on this individual does something, we want to be like that individual.
Right.
Thus, we have this emotion of, oh, this individual is cool. If I dress like them, I'll also be cool. So it's probably this alignment of status as well. And
Yeah,
so
definitely.
all that to say, like Christians can appreciate fashion, can be fashionable, but just like the idolatry thing, if you're finding too much of a affirmation and love when
Hmm.
people recognize your fashion, then it's like, okay, now you're living by the acceptance of man and not God.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
it's all about value, right? Like I think we, like you said, we're sort of ascribing value to people in different ways based off of what we're wearing. And it might be signaling different things. The value might be signaling that you're socially aware. And so you have sort of a higher social score. Excuse me. So like maybe I want to talk to that person more. Or because I know
Hmm.
they like these certain things, it might be easier for me to relate to them. Or we might have similar backgrounds because we're wearing similar styles. It might relate to part of our culture and part of music and how we express ourselves emotionally and stuff like that. Like I think there's a lot of social cues and values we assign, some good, some interesting, to the different things that we wear. But it's definitely a lot about value. It seems like to me. So yeah, just like you said, I think the only thing you have to watch out as a Christian for is how much is that value worth to you and what parts of it are you sort of um, counting as very valuable. Like, is it
Hmm.
doing things to your self-worth? Is it doing things to how much you like view yourself as or who you view yourself as, outside of like Christ, right? Is it where you're getting a lot
Right.
of your identity from outside of Christ? I think these are like motivational questions you have to ask yourself. Because of course, at the root, like it's fine to want to look cool and express yourself in a very artistic way. It's awesome. even if you want to display yourself as a certain kind of person, if you're really like the outdoors, you're probably going to wear certain brands and certain types of clothing that's going to express that. And if you're more of like an urban person, you're going to wear more urban clothing. And if you're part of maybe more of an artist culture, you're going to wear more artsy clothing. And there's different styles, but I think it's beautiful when it comes to the artistry of it and the self-expression that's caused there. But yeah, all the questions you always got to ask are usually very motivational. Um, Outside of that, I think there might be a bit of a ethical problem you have to ask when it comes to how much money you should be spending on clothes. But I think that's something you have to do with everything in your life, right? Like how expensive of a
Yeah,
house you buy and how like the standard of life you decide to live and the means of wealth that you have and all that kind of stuff. Um, but that's sort of a moral question everybody has to answer. And some people will answer that question and say, no matter how much money I ever make, I'm never going to want to live above like this level because this is sort of like the moral level I think most people should live at because they find themselves more ethically culpable for other people's lives and the fact that some people are living in more poverty that they could be helping out with if they wanted to allocate their resources there. Um, but if they didn't, of course, they have the right to use their money how they want to. But I think biblically, we're charged to help those around us, right? And now there's going to be debates on like what is around us. Is that like our neighbors, or is it globally? Could I be sending my money somewhere? And does that money like go somewhere where it's actually helping? I think that's something people have to figure out for themselves a lot. But that sort of goes into the idea of how much money are you willing to ethically spend on a certain product for whatever reason, right? I think those are the main problems when it comes to
for
fashion. But I
sure.
think besides that, every Christian could enjoy what they wear and want to dress in cool ways. I do it all the time.
Yeah, and something about the ethically thing and moral, I think you hit on is such a good point that I totally didn't think about originally. Is that one of the quandaries and the problem is that so much of high fashion, like Nike, and maybe that's not high fashion, but so much of like fashion is like
Mm,
Nike, Adidas, all these places. We know, and this is not a debate, that they're made in third world countries, probably not getting paid the most, like the livable wage, and it's probably
right.
not fair trade, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, oh, I don't actually like, because if you're gonna try to take steps to get away from that, it's like, well, they have to be one realistic steps, you know. Can't go completely off the grid. It's like
Mm,
if you shop at Walmart, Walmart is one of those places that has moral questionable things. All fashion basically in America, like Nike, H&M, all
mm,
those places that it's like all of them have questionable things. Target definitely, probably, I would assume. I'm wearing a Target shirt right now, that's why I'm
mm,
saying that. But it's like, oh, like I just don't know, like even like having an iPhone. Like I have an iPhone and a MacBook in front of me, and
mm,
I know about the Chinese factories where they make iPhones and the suicide nets they have there
mm,
to in case someone jumps out and wants to commit suicide because they hate their job, they just grab them from the nets and put them back in the line. It's like that's really sad, and I don't know how to go about all the blessings and things I have that people that I don't know if they make them would call them a blessing. It's like I'm trying working all these hours making this little bit of money, and it's like I'll outsource so they can so the corporation can make all this money, and the people at the top can become wealthy and they can spend all this money on different stuff. I have
mm,
so many like internal conflicts when I think about it. Like even if I get an Android, it's still going to be the same thing, you know.
mm.
They probably also have similar stuff. If I The best thing I could think of her fashion would probably be wearing secondhand clothing. So then I'm not like I could go to like thrift shops or like Ross and stuff like that, where I'm not giving my money directly to those things, but I'm still
Yeah.
getting good clothes that, and also it's budget friendly.
Yeah.
But I also understand that it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with wearing nice things, but what if the way the shoe that I want was made was put in front of me?
Yeah.
What
Right.
if instead of seeing the shoe, I saw all these families that like are underpaid and don't get enough to live off of, and the work environments that they live on that are questionable. And it's like, oh my gosh, like would I still want that shoe if I was like, hey, all these people made it? And I'm like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that. So I think fair trade is respectable. Like with coffee, I know I try to buy fair trade coffee where That means
Mhm.
like the farmer and the everyone who's involved in the process gets a good amount of money, and
Right.
organic. But it's such a hard thing to tackle. Like I would be, yeah. What do you think about that? As far as what do we do with those moral questions with that stuff?
Yeah. It's almost impossible to answer because it's so hardwired into every way that we live, and I don't think it's going to be um, a immediate change. It almost has to be progressive, and um, especially when it comes to our technology, there's almost zero answers. Like unless you have a lot of money, there's no way to actually be like not morally culpable for the technology you use harming people. Because if you own some sort of tech, if you own pretty much any car, if you own pretty much any phone, except for just like a couple of phones out there that are super expensive and suck, honestly. Like there's no way to live like a non-morally culpable life for some of the suffering that's going on in the world. Um, and I think companies that we are trying to hold responsible for these things are starting to do a little bit about it, but it's almost nothing, right? And so we're not seeing a lot of things happen. So I think it's hard, right? Because obviously, to you want to be not morally culpable for these things. The only way to do that is maybe start just thrifting and start um, mostly just buying from like farms that are local to you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
don't have a phone or have like an old flip phone or buy um, an ethically made smartphone that are very expensive. The only problem is almost nobody has, at least none of my friends have the money to live that kind of a life, right? You have to have so
Right.
much money to buy all of your food from local resourced
Oh yeah.
areas to have that kind
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
phone.
Definitely.
So it's like with the ability and the resources that I have, I can't really live ethically, but at the same time, I don't want to live unethically, but also everybody's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so because everybody's doing it and I can't afford to live any other way, does that excuse me from the moral culpability? And it doesn't seem like it does to me, but it also doesn't seem like
Right.
anything's changing soon. So I think it's something everybody kind of has to wrestle with themselves of like how much can I do to make a change in this area? And even educating
Right.
yourself
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely it's not an easy answer, and I don't like you said. There's almost zero. There's like I don't know how to. The best solution that I'm like, well, if you want to be really serious, you could just go live among the people and get rid of everything.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
but the thing is, like you even to get rid of the problem, right? Like to raise awareness, to get companies to start changing the way they make things, um, like you need to use all of the things that are
Yeah.
morally culpable already for these people doing those things to even get to that place. And so it's like you're you're kind of like done no matter where you turn to try to solve the problem
Yeah.
or not solve the problem, right? It's hard. It's definitely a hard thing to think about. I think
Yeah.
we are
And
trending in a
those.
good direction, but it
Okay.
is hard right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And those. If you do find fashion that is very much like, oh, it's fair trade. Like we don't export or outsource our work. We all make it like this. It's like it's going to be more expensive
Hmm.
because it takes more money to get the materials, and
Right.
then it takes more work to make all. So the reason things are a little bit cheaper is because they don't cost that much to make, and so
Hmm.
they can make a good profit margin without trying to make it super expensive. Like I know this isn't clothing, but for example, like pop at McDonald's, like it costs like a few cents for them to make it, but they sell it at $1. So they're making like a
Right.
1,000% or whatever
Right.
profit, and so it's similar to that. And so if you're gonna buy something for at least clothing that is genuine and like Jocko Willink, how do you say his last name?
I think it's Jocko Willing.
Willink.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
though.
he has a company that does all American made and doesn't outsource, and it's like all ethical, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
But he sells jeans and stuff like that, but his jeans are like $100.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm
I don't have hundred
26.
dollars.
Who has a hundred
Yeah.
dollars for just jeans, bro?
Right.
You know what I spend $100 on?
Yeah. Not jeans.
Like, it's a lot. I know some people are like that's not a lot of money. Though. That's a lot of money.
I spent $5 on a pair of pants last night, and that's what I can afford.
Thrifting,
Yeah.
see, ethical. Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe. Kind of.
My mom spent some money on new pants for me. I was really thankful because
Nice.
I realized that the reason my clothes, I was thinking like, man, like 32. Am I live right now? It looks like my camera's a little bit back.
They're good.
Okay. I realized like my pants kept fitting weird and whatnot, and I was like, why are my pants always fitting weird? So I finally tried on some size 34 on the waist.
Hmm.
I was like, oh no, they fit so good.
Yeah.
I've been a 32 since I was like 18.
Yep.
I was like, oh gosh.
Gotta go on a diet.
Well, that's why I started joining the gym. I gotta start doing ab exercises and crushing it, get my
That
metabolism
that
working.
only make your weight. You only make your waist bigger.
No, no.
Okay.
No, I'm
All
gonna
right.
work my abs so the muscle grows, and then hope, and I gotta eat well, and then the little layer of fat that's there will shed, and then it'll be flat. Is my
Let me know
hope.
when muscles get bigger. Do they usually like go out or like they get smaller?
It depends on how you work them.
Oh yeah.
So if you do a lot of lightweight, high rep, they're not gonna like if I do like I'm not gonna show my bicep, but if I were to do 100 bicep curls with like 5 pounds, that's not gonna make my muscle bigger. That's gonna make it like more dense, I think, and like tighter. But if I do like 15 reps with like 40 pounds, that's gonna bulk it up. It's gonna get bigger. This idea of like bulking and cutting. Um, so there's a little science fact for the day.
Mm. No matter
Listen,
what, it gets bigger though. Yeah.
I've been listening to Mind Pump Radio for 2 days straight now. I know all of the bro science of working out.
Dude, nice. You could write a book.
Oh man, I wouldn't know anything.
Yeah.
But they did say abs are not made. Everyone says abs are made in the kitchen, and they're like, no, we hate that. Abs are revealed in the kitchen. They're like, it's a muscle. You can work it in the gym. You just have to reveal it.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
That's true.
But I also want a six pack for my honeymoon.
Good luck.
I was looking at pictures of me at the beach like a year ago and had a six pack, and I was like, oh,
Hmm.
I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. It'll be hard to get back to.
Yeah, I just only have a month and a half to try.
Yeah. Was there any other questions you want to talk about today?
Not necessarily that come off the top of my head. On one of the on the list we did talk, we have the word cloning, and I think we want. I think we've been in some, or maybe
Well,
we haven't. I know.
I think I talked to Spencer about that a long time ago, about that
Yeah,
on our episode. That'd be a great one
yeah,
to do again. Yeah.
but yeah, the idea of cloning is ethical, is moral. That thing probably doesn't have a soul. So is it really murder if you kill it? But why would you want to make it just to kill it?
Hmm.
Have you ever seen the show Upload? It's on
No.
Amazon Prime. It's
Mm-mm.
not that good. It's just something that's like mildly entertaining. So I am like, and they added like a mystery thing in this. Now I'm like, oh, God, I forgot this mystery before I give up the show. But I
Yeah.
don't
Skip
really
the last
like it.
episode.
I could, yeah. But
Yeah.
um, it's this idea where when you die, your consciousness gets uploaded to like basically RuneScape, but like really advanced.
Interesting.
And so it's like you can choose different servers that you want to be uploaded to. The richest get this other place. So this guy gets uploaded, and then like people from the real world can put on virtual reality like suits and goggles and go and talk to you, so you don't actually ever die.
Huh. Weird.
And so I've been thinking about that, like, I wonder how Christians would act if that was. I wouldn't want to do that. I'm like, let me go to heaven, bro. I'm
Yeah, it'd
dead.
be
Don't
strange.
upload me. I'll be so mad.
Yeah.
Like, you pour water on my server right now.
Do not upload me, please.
Yeah,
That would be weird.
yeah. But I mean, it
Nice.
gets into that whole thing about how much we assimilate to technology that you and Spencer talked about.
Yeah. We should re-release that episode or do it again or something. It's a good one.
Yeah, probably we could do. We could have him on again and see if there's any things
Yeah.
that changed. In the meantime, if you guys are interested in that stuff, go check it out right now.
The old episode. I think Spencer was one of the first people we ever had on. Him or Allie or someone. It was a good episode.
We had Allie on like the second or third episode we ever did, like way long ago, and it was like
Hmm.
it was really funny because we didn't really brief her about what to expect because I don't think we knew what to expect,
Right.
and we didn't have a template or anything about how we did the show. Really, we know that we like to conversate, but I feel like sometimes Allie likes to be the person in the back of the seat of the conversation, just like listening and then interjecting when.
Right. She did a
So it
good
was
job
just a
though.
really, yeah, it was just a really funny episode because I thought I don't like, and I remember thinking in the middle of it like, I don't think we know a lot about what we're doing yet.
Mm-hmm. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, still
It
am.
was good. Yep. All righty. Well, good to go.
Are you leaving? Are you breaking up with me?
Yeah, I'm leaving.
You know
I'm
what,
breaking
dude?
up with you.
I
Shut
was
up,
gonna
dude.
say something, but I thought, nah, that's not appropriate. Forget you, dude.
Whatever, dude.
Take that to its more adult version. That's without the whole word.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening to today's episode. If you want to hear more fan questions, send them on in, and we'll do more episodes of Q&As, fan questions, stuff like that. You can let us know, and you can check us out everywhere. We're on Instagram all the time, TikTok. We got Patreon, all that kind of stuff. Thank you for supporting the show to everybody who does, helping us be able to have the cameras, the mics, and stuff that we do have, the lighting. We appreciate you. We hope you like the content. If you got anything you want us to talk about, let us know. If there's anybody you want us to have on the show, let us know and we'll try to get them on. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.